Hi, I'm Marco Meatball. I love talking about video game music from an emotional perspective. Today we're checking out Iron Lung. Iron Lung, of course, is all over the news. Congrats to Markiplier. I'm really excited to check out some of this music. I actually have not, but I want to see and compare how the game's music compares to the movie's music. This is Lowering the Casket from the original Iron Lung. So this is par for the course. First of all, I mean, lovely atmosphere. I mean, really, like, who doesn't want to go and have a picnic while listening to this music? I mean, this is baby making music if I've ever heard it. One of the most amazing things to me is the fact that this idea of taking sound design and using sound to also filter into music is a tale as old as time. It's been done for hundreds of years. If you go back to something like Il Trovatore, which is an opera by Giuseppe Verdi, that's Joe Green to you, what you'll find is the Anvil Chorus. And the Anvil Chorus is a bunch of shirtless men with six packs, and they are hitting anvils. And so what they're doing in that is hitting the anvils on the rhythm and on the beat to create that sense of tension and rhythm. And that's using sound design and using sound that is not typically musical to produce, music. And in the case of Iron Lung here, it's interesting because while obviously it's not extremely melodic at all, what it does have is that constant drone and that oppressive feeling of being in this casket, this iron lung, as it were. And it's interesting how you hear a little bit of the background chatter. You also hear the sound of like stepping into the thing. You hear the creaking, you hear all this stuff. I think that works really well to produce discomfort. Now, it is technically music because we have that nice long drone. And then interestingly enough, we're also doing some twisting of the knob to produce a sense of tension, which is very effective. Now, I wanted to find something that was comparable in the movie soundtrack, which I don't know if there is anything, but I wanted to check out Iron Casket from the movie. Of course, this is a soundtrack by Andrew Hulshult, and Andrew Hulshult has quite the pedigree in the video game music world and is a great composer. So, I mean, this is interesting to me, and I'm sort of curious how we movify the Iron Lung soundtrack. So there is sound effect, but obviously this is bigger. So it's interesting. So in this case, we have the doom, 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 doom. That could be the heartbeat. This could be our main character. I don't know the character's name. This could be the main character's heartbeat. Doom, 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 because it's a constant rhythm, right? And then you get a little bit of that boom, that sound design, which is theoretically like the casket itself or the coffin casket. You get it. It's casket, coffin, same thing. The point is that like this is tension here, and it's interesting how the heartbeat rhythm, doom, 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 doom. Look, when we talk about music, what do we talk about? We talk about rhythm, we talk about tempo, we talk about melody. And in the case of this, not a melody, but there is certainly a rhythmic propulsion in that, which creates tension, which is the whole point, right? To be oppressive, to feel kind of like you can't breathe. And actually, it's interesting. So that sound right where I stopped, that's actually like a brass kind of pressing and in a pressing. So I don't know that it is a brass instrument, but the cool thing about this is that when we press into that, what we actually get is the sort of the contortion or the closing of the door or the seeping into the water slash I think seeping in blood in this case. And it's interesting because that's like the propulsion system. And we do this in music. I mean, we can lay on the gas, whether it's vocals or instrumentals. Certainly with brass instruments, you can really lay into it. You can do that with the voice too, without necessarily hurting yourself. And when we do that, obviously it creates a little bit of a zhuzh. It increases in tempo. It also kind of morphs the sound. It kind of distorts it. You know, like that. That thing is pretty interesting how we get that there. It's very, very cacophonous. I really get anticipation with this. And so it's interesting because it ends up becoming more like sound design rather than music. Now, that being said, a whole host of ideas there. John Cage's whole thing, John Cage, you know, famous for 4 minutes and 33 seconds of sitting there in silence on the concert stage while listening to whatever noises around you, would say that the air conditioner is music. There is propulsion in this and rhythm, and technically there is a melody. Dum 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 da dum 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 da dum. So technically there is a melody, which is kind of, but it's so subtle, and it's not. I mean, I'm not gonna go and sing like da 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 da, you know. But it's interesting how lowering the casket from the original had a similar vibe, but this one definitely feels like it's a more of a supported sound. Listen. So they're similar, but obviously this is death. This is there's no momentum in this. And frankly, the original's OST is actually scarier in that case. Let's check out Asleep at the Wheel. The heartbeat, of course. And that's cool. It's cool how it's like suppressed and muted. Ooh. You can tell Andrews worked on Doom. That's sick. Da, da, da. And you hear how that causes tension, right? Da, 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 da. That tonal movement there, that slight, just, you know, da dee da dee da dee. Is that a third? That's a minor third. Total tension, but also that hit is satisfying. Da da ba. And it's interesting because the title name is Asleep at the Wheel, and it almost feels like while this dude is asleep, all of a sudden this thing is just barreling towards the iron lung slash the tunnel slash the sub or whatever it is. And as it approaches, it's like, oh, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. That heavy press of tension. Something horrible is about to happen, right? See, that's a fun little rhythmic corner of thump, ba, pa, because you have the steadiness of the heartbeat. And then when you add these jagged rhythms and these sort of contortions musically, when you add them in surprising places, it's alarm. It's waking up and being like, oh God. You know what I mean? Like, what the? It's cool. It's really interesting. Let me go back to the original Iron Lung soundtrack and check out Through the Veil. Bro, that's a rough listen. That is unnerving as... Hold on, I Will Get My Freedom from the movie. Interesting increase in tempo. It's interesting, so the song is called I Will Get My Freedom, and in actually, when you hear these really long sustained chords or sustained notes, it does give you that impression of like a guy wanting to do the right thing, just wanting out, like, please let me go, please let me out of this thing, I can't keep doing this, but I swore that I would commit to this, I swore that I would do this, I swore that I would do that. There's panic, there's anxiety, I really don't want to be here anymore, I'm tired, and there's it's exacerbation, it's exhaustion, it's mentally draining, it feels like it's pushing up against my spine and choking me, and I'm claustrophobic in here, I need to be set free. And it's interesting because it's actually like a degree of hope, but certainly there's definitely fear. And then lastly, I just want to check out It Wakes from the original. That is hard to listen to. That is genuinely terrifying. That is so scary. Because it's all sound design. It's just like pressing metal. I mean, like, these are unpleasant sounds. It's not something you casually listen to. Oh, God. Okay. That's actually really hard to listen to. Hold on. Let me just fast forward. I'm sorry. Normally I wouldn't. That's excellent. That's incredible sound design and world building through sound. I mean, that is incredibly unnerving. It's just metal on metal, gnashing and clawing and biting and dragging a piece of metal across a metal. It's really uncomfortable. So another track that from the movie that I think is comparable, maybe is called Stalked. Yeah, so in general, what I'd say is the movie succeeds at creating a sense of heightened tension and a sense of heightened fear. Everything is dialed up. If I'm perfectly honest, it feels a bit more passive compared to Iron Lung the game, which feels much more visceral. And I think both work for the given mediums. I think like in the case of Iron Lung the game, when you're in that environment, it is just you and it's unbearable. Whereas in the case of Iron Lung the movie, us as the movie watchers, being the flies on the wall, experiencing this situation for this guy, like music serves a couple purposes, right? One of the key ones is to get you to understand subtext and connect to whatever you're seeing, right? So the actor's job, in this case, Markiplier's job, is to present you a circumstance that you then believe. And the music's job is to enhance the subconscious of that character so that you connect to it via the subtext. So we don't necessarily know in movies what a character is thinking unless they say it. But even then, subtext is one of these things that like it's you're not gonna know what the like, you know, if it's like I it's nice to meet you. Now you don't know if I'm saying that if I really mean it, but the music might infer I fucking hate you, right? Or the music may infer it is nice to meet you more than you could possibly know. But if I'm just saying it's nice to meet you, you can't know. And this is the beauty of musical subtext and musical storytelling. Now, in the case of Stalked here, compared to It Wakes and compared to a lot of the soundtrack, everything is a little bit lifted. Whereas I think in the game, that's a more specific experience for you as an active participant. So your subtext, you're already feeling whatever you're feeling. We don't need to express that across the screen because you already kind of know what you're feeling subconsciously and consciously. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting juxtaposition. There's a lot of drone in this soundtrack so far. See, the drone is evocative because the drone is like a constant sense of shadow behind you. Wait, what the fuck is that? You know, like that's the drone. What the fuck? You know what I mean? What's that over there? It's tension. And then the waves are undulating because we're under. And see, and that the little bong, that's that reminder. It gets closer. It's walking towards you. It's over there. Now it's over here. And now it's here. You know, like that's the tension. So, you know, overall, I mean, the thoughts are like, I mean, I'm a glass half full kind of guy. I definitely think that, I mean, having not seen the movie, I'm uncomfortable. Am I as uncomfortable as I am with the game? Absolutely not. The game is unsettling beyond belief. That I wouldn't even call it a soundtrack. That is not a soundtrack. If you put this on in your car, I'm worried about you.
I'll just be here listening to my tunes.
And I think the difference is, of course, what I mentioned earlier. What we want the player to feel versus what we want the viewer to feel. And those two things are different. One is a tangible action, playing a game, experiencing it first person, versus being that fly on the wall. And I think in this case, Andrew Hulshult has done a great job, but I don't think it's as menacing, though it is oppressive and works really well. I don't think it's as oppressive as the games, which is, I never want to listen to that again. Both are great though. Both are great. Thanks a ton. I'll see you later.